Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy vicslanghope. And I got another video for y'all. And somebody asked me to make a video about what my first Ramadan in prison was like, or jail. So that's what this video is about. And for those of you who don't know what the month of Ramadan is, it's the holy month in the Islamic lunar calendar, which has about 29 or 30 days. It's also the month in which the most recited and memorized and read book in the world was revealed, which is the Quran. So during Ramadan, a lot of times Muslims around the world are paying closer attention to the Quran. They're reciting it more. They're, trying to apply the meanings and the teachings and the understandings of it, into their life more. So it's a month where we just kind of like try to ground ourselves. It's more than just fasting, but what we usually is usually known as the month of fasting, right? So we fast usually from dawn and not sunup. Some people think it's sunup to sundown, but it's technically dawn, when you could distinguish the white thread from night and day. When you first see it starting to get light and you start to see the differentiation, that's when you're supposed to stop eating. It's not when the sun comes up. So that's a misconception. And when you start eating is when the sun is fully down, right? So yeah, so it's a very interesting and loving month. A lot of times the Muslims tend to be in their best behavior, and we tend to, it's a month of joy, fasting, mercy, just being kind to one another and getting closer to our Lord. So I definitely know I needed this month because, like I said before in another video, I've been struggling in my faith, and inshallah, this month helps me out, and I get it together. So for anybody who is Muslim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Ramadan Mubarak. Have a blessed Ramadan for you and your families and your loved ones. And somebody asked me to make a video about like what was my kind of like experience. And I remember like when I first started fasting, it was during the summertime. This was like in 2010. This was my first Ramadan ever. And I was young. I was like 19. And in the summertime when you fast, the hours tend to be longer. The hours are from like, so this year was in the middle of the summertime, so the hours were like about 16 hours. So the sun really was, because in the summertime the sun sets at a darker time, like around 8:30, 8:40, right? So it was a longer fast than the like if you was fasting in the wintertime, the winter, it gets dark quick, so it's an easier fast in a certain way. But it was like the longest fast. When I first started fasting, I used to drink water. I drank water for maybe for like the first 3 days, because I also used to go out to the yard and play basketball. I was young, I was active, so I was out there just exerting a lot of energy, and then I would get back to the house and I'd be like about to pass out. So I would drink water, but I didn't know better. I thought you could drink water until brother started telling me like, nah, you can't drink nothing. Like you can't, so when I found that out, that's probably like around the third day, I still was going outside to play ball and damn near die, right? But I still didn't drink water. Like what I would just do, I would just go back to the house. I take a very cold shower, and then I would sleep. But that was also part of like the problem too. They used to tell me like, oh, you just spent most of your day sleeping, and you're not getting the benefits of Ramadan if you're sleeping most of the time. So that was another thing that I kind of like had to stop. So it was a transition. I was just learning. I went from, drinking water for like the first 3 days. It wasn't crazy jugs of water, but like, if I felt mad thirsty, I would drink. And then I went to like just sleeping a lot, and like I would just get up right before it was time to break the fast, and I would go down to the prayer area. So that also wasn't a good thing. But I wouldn't say that was my best Ramadan, because I was new to it. I was just exposed to it, and I was still in jail, right, for the most part. But it was very interesting to be able to have that discipline, and I think more so in the street, right? Because it's like, as women, it's a whole bunch of other distractions. It's a whole bunch of other things that kind of like can set you off track when you're fasting, and when you're trying not to curse, and when you're not trying to listen to music. It's for the people that smoke, when you're not trying to smoke, when you're not trying to get into meaningless disputes, when you're not trying to do certain things. It's easier to get into some of those things in the streets, right? It's easier to just be looking at the wrong things. You could be scrolling and being on the wrong pages that you shouldn't be on. So I feel like it's a little more discipline when you are in the street. But in there is, one thing I would say about in prison, it was a little different. It's more brotherhood. It's more camaraderie. Like if when you really think about it, like it was just different. I think like the whole community in prison and jail just tends to be a little more different than the community in the street. And maybe it's certain circles, maybe it's different communities. I don't know what it is, but that's just has been my experience, and how I have felt like just experiencing on Ramadan in the streets and just the community in general. Like just be a lot of whole other stuff going on, right? But for the most part, it taught me how to be disciplined. It taught me how to, because at the end of the day, only Allah knows if you're truly fasting, right? And the fast is one of those only deeds who only God knows you're really doing it. Because at the end of the day, nobody really knows if you're eating or not. You know, you could be hiding that you're eating and nobody knows, right? And you could be acting like you're fasting. So so that's why it's the only act that only God knows, right? Because you could pray, right? You could pray, you could take pictures of your prayer. You could take pictures taking your shahada, which is the first pillar, right? Everybody could witness that. Everybody sees it. Everybody hears it. And, you know, you could take pictures. You're praying. People could see it. You know, we hear you. All of that, right? When you pay zakat, right? Like somebody, you're giving the zakat to somebody, right? Just a witness. You know, somebody could witness you doing that. And giving and all of those things. When you perform Hajj, the same thing, right? You can take pictures. They take videos. People see you doing these things. But fasting, nobody really knows. Nobody can really tell, you know. It's things to tell, but you get what I'm saying. Like, nobody really knows for a fact, only Allah, right? So this is why the fast is so important, because Allah will reward the fast according to, you know, your deeds and your struggle and your determination. So yeah, so it definitely taught me a lot of discipline, and a man, like I say this all the time, a man without discipline, you know, he's destined for failure. So that's it. It's not a crazy video. I could go into a whole bunch of other things, but I don't want to make this a long, drawn out video. I just felt like the Brotherhood was a little tighter in there. It was a little more connected. This is a time when we actually got to come together for long periods of time. Before that, we usually just came together for Jumu'ah, which is on Friday, and maybe some classes. But during Ramadan, they allow you to come together in the whole 30 days. So the whole 30 days, you can go to the mosque or to the prayer area, and y'all could spend long periods of time together from a certain time, from depending on the jail, from a certain time to the time that you break the fast. So you could spend a lot of hours like studying, learning, just being around brothers. So a lot of brothers used to like that, because in most places, you're kind of like locked in your cell, or you're always doing some type of programs, so you're not really around the brothers. So a lot of times brothers take the time during Ramadan to be around each other, and to, you know, just to get to know one another, to build that rapport, to build that relationship. So that's one of like the best things in the jail system. Sometimes a lot of brothers probably just wanted to get out the house. They didn't want to be around the house with the other people that wasn't Muslim, or just listening to other nonsense. So a lot of brothers kind of like use the time to kind of like benefit and learn and you know, just be around one another and get to know each other. So that's it, man. That was just kind of like my first Ramadan. It was a little struggle, but I kind of like got it together. It wasn't my best, but it definitely did teach me to how to relate to people who are hungry, people who are struggling, you know, to have food and not eat, and to have that discipline to not eat and not drink and not do other things for the sake of your Lord is a very strong, powerful thing to be able to do. And if you could do that just for fasting, right? If you could do that, if you're able to do that, just not eat. And you know how many of us love to eat. But if you could just do that and put your, you know what I'm saying, put your discipline in check and not eat for the sake of your Lord, and drink and have sex and do all of these things, you can do a whole bunch of things. Just think about it. If you could put those things aside, those essentials, for a few hours a day just to please your Lord, there's nothing that you can't do. So these are some of the things that were instilled in me from a young age, right? Because before that, I didn't know nothing about Ramadan. I didn't really have the best discipline, right, for the most part. So it definitely instilled that in me, that I was able to relate to people who go hours or maybe days without eating and wondering where their next meal is going to come from. So that was very, very touching and was very important to me. And it was something that kind of like helps you understand people. That's why sometimes when I see people, it makes it easier for me to give them or help them get food, because I understand that feeling, because I've been there. because I fasted and I felt those hunger pains and stuff like that. So it makes you a little more humble. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Until next time, peace.